Hello and welcome back or welcome to the Riley Brakefield Show. I am your host, Riley Brakefield. I hope you're having a wonderful Tuesday morning and I hope you had a great weekend. I hope you enjoyed the Thanksgiving holiday with your friends and family or however you spend it. Maybe spend it alone. I don't know. I don't control the world and how people live their lives. But you can find this show every Tuesdays and Fridays on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, you name it. It's probably there. I upload it to everything. So just don't forget to like, share, subscribe, send to your friends, family, love people, ex-lovers, whatever you got to do. Spread the word. I think I'm doing all right. So spread the word. Today's show gonna hit quite a few topics. A lot of news happening in especially the sports world over the weekend. A lot was going on. I'm gonna hit my top five. It's gonna be a good one. Then just a couple takeaways from the college football weekend, a couple takeaways from the NFL games this weekend, and then finishing off with just my thoughts. Should be a good one too, so stick around for that. Currently, I am watching this Steelers-Colts game that I just know is going to be disgusting, and the under is easily going to hit, but we'll see what happens. I don't know. I enjoy watching Kenny Pickett. I was a big fan of his when he was playing for Pitt, so I would like to see him have some success in the league, but who knows? Kind of surprised they didn't flex this game out because it's kind of two teams that aren't doing too good this year. I mean, yeah, at the beginning of the season, you might think this could be a good game coming in, but not looking like that. Both these teams are pretty bad. Steelers possibly going to get a top 10 pick this year. That's kind of crazy. I don't think that happens very often for them. They're usually pretty good and always in the playoff hunt. I mean, Mike Tomlin's never had a losing season, they say. But moving over to some college football, a lot of big changes over the weekend. Quite a few head coaching positions just got filled. Hugh Freeze, literally tonight, it was formally announced, I believe, that he was for sure taking the job at Auburn. In 12 years as a head coach, the guy's only had one losing season. I mean, he did amazing when he was at Ole Miss. I mean, they had those upsets against Alabama. I mean, he did it when he was at Ole Miss. He probably could do it at Auburn. So Auburn going for the beat Nick Saban factor there. But it comes with a lot of baggage. There was the scandals, the affairs with hookers and paying for hookers for recruits and stuff. I mean, they got fined big time with scandal after scandal and sanctions and sanctions. It was a bad look for him, but he rejuvenated himself. Went to the most what is it? The biggest Christian school there is in the country, Liberty University. It's the same place where that scandal where the two couples groomed the one kid. It's the same school. It's all the same place. Big Christian background behind it, but that's where Hugh Freeze has been the past couple of years. And he's done very well at Liberty. I mean, he just had Malik Willis there last year. There's a third or fourth round draft pick right there at quarterback. People thought he could be a first round, all that jazz. So I mean, the guy can coach. He flat out, like I said, 11 out of 12 seasons, he's had a winning season every time he's been a head coach. He's done a phenomenal job, and I don't see that not happening at Auburn. I think he's gonna find a ton of success. I mean, Gus Malzahn had a success there. Gene Chizik had success there. Like Tommy Tuberville was a fucking rock star there in the early 2000s. So they've been a very, very popular team up there at the top upper echelon of college football. They either have a really good season or a really bad one. But I think getting Hugh Freeze is going to kind of definitely make the SEC West the SEC West is going to be the best division next year. I mean, you think about it, Nick Saban, Brian Kelly, Mike Leach, Lane Kiffin, Hugh Freeze. Then you got Jimbo's dumbass, which if he hires a competent offensive coordinator, Texas A&M is all of a sudden top tier. And then Arkansas, if they get lucky, I don't know, they'd probably be on the low man on the totem pole. But man, the SEC West is going to have some really good coaches. It's going to be a tough division the next couple of years, man. Yeah, I actually might have to change something that I was going to talk about later in the show. But moving on, Nebraska, they hired Matt Rule. On the outside looking in, it looks like a good hire. I think it's a smart hire. He's proven that he can win. Until I saw a stat that I found out he was 0-11 against the top 25 in his time as the head coach at Baylor. 0-11. Big games, they always seem to lose. Well, and you're like, well, maybe the Big 12 was just really good. No, the year that they got second, his last year there before he took the Panthers job, there was only, what was it? Two teams there's only three teams that had an 8-4 record. that were competent and good, I believe. 3 or 4, maybe it was 4 actually. But like it was a very down year in the Big 12 across the board. So I don't know. It could pan out. I mean, he's proven he can win in 2 different places. So why not Nebraska? But I don't know. So after seeing that 0-11 stat, man, it really worries me that maybe he's not going to be a good big game coach. I mean, he never performed at the NFL. Maybe those things are going to find themselves out real quick. So we'll see what happens, though. I think it's definitely an interesting hire that could really work out, or it could be a disaster. Luke Fickell leaving Cincinnati to take the Wisconsin job, probably going to go down as the best hire of this offseason. I don't know how long Luke Fickell plans on staying there. I don't know what his plans or thoughts are. People might say he turned down some better jobs he could have had last year, but Cincinnati was in the playoff. He built such a solid program there off of what others had built. I mean, Cincinnati's been one of the top tier programs since the early 2000s. They've been there. They won Big East titles. I mean, they're winning the AAC. They're gonna, whoever their next coach is gonna go into the Big 12, and he's probably gonna find success because Cincinnati just is. They've been there. I mean, I think moving to the Big 12 is a big move for them. But for Luke Fickell, I think it is the right move to go to Wisconsin. If he can build it at Cincinnati, I think he can build it at Wisconsin. He was getting some top tier level recruits, putting out some top tier talent in the NFL. I mean, look at Sauce Gardner, perfect example right there. So I think Wisconsin's very dangerous to look at now. I mean, the Big Ten West is not that many good teams. Iowa's had up and down years. I mean, I think they're on a real bad downhill turn. Nebraska's still rebuilding. PJ Fleck, he's done quite a good job there. Brett Vilma's done a pretty good job at Illinois. Jeff Brom's been pretty good at Purdue. But I think Luke Fickell's a better coach than all those guys, and I think he can really help elevate a Wisconsin program that needs a new face in there. Somebody that's not a part of the program necessarily, somebody that didn't play there, just a new fresh face that can kind of turn things around. I mean, he's already going to come in with some pretty good talent. I mean, Braylon Allen's a hell of a back, and I don't know what the deal is with Graham Mertz, if he's just not what he was meant to be. But if he is, I think Luke Fickell can find a way to find it. I put the right guys in place, and I think they'll get a top tier quarterback. I think they're definitely be looking at possibly in a fringe top 20, top 25 team next year. It's a brilliant hire. I think they're going to find a lot of success in year one under Luke Fickell. Kind of a low-key, but not necessarily too low-key. Willie Fritz, head coach at Tulane, getting the head coaching job at Georgia Tech. It seems it's not officially signed yet, but it seems like it's more than a done deal. I mean, he's had an amazing year at Tulane, 10-2 this year. The year before, they were 2-10, so hopefully he can find some success and bring Georgia Tech, back to a top-tier program like they used to be, but we'll see. But by far, probably, I don't know if the biggest, but as far as new job openings, Cincinnati now open, Liberty now open, nothing too big. Tulane, not too crazy. You probably put Cincinnati 1, but with David Shaw stepping down at Stanford, I don't know if Cincinnati is now one of the better jobs or if Stanford would take that cake. I mean, what else is still out there? Colorado's still out there now. Arizona State, no, they hired Kenny Dillingham, who seemed youngest head coach in collegiate football, so pretty cool news there. I forgot about that one. I'm trying to think. Colorado, I think Georgia Tech might switch and go a different direction. Wasn't for sure done deal, but it seemed like it was close to wrapped up. But I think Stanford, Colorado, Cincinnati, those are the 3 big ones that off the top of my head, I'd say Cincinnati probably won, but Stanford really has a chance to be that number 1 school, just same as I'd say Colorado would. But, I mean, Jim Harbaugh built something special there. David Shaw built off of it and found many years of success. But the past couple of years, they've just kind of dwindled. And they've had the quarterback talent, though. I mean, Tanner McKee, the kid that's there now, he's just like Davis Mills, flew under the radar because Stanford didn't play good. But ton of pro potential there. Definitely a job that I think a high-level guy or somebody's good. I hope Stanford gets the right guy, and I hope they can kind of get back to the success that they were finding, the early 2010s here. So we'll see. I'm really rooting. I'm really rooting for someone good to go to Stanford. I'm still rooting for some. There's been rumors about Deion Sanders going to Colorado, which I think would be pretty phenomenal. That'd be a sick move. And if Deion takes a Power 5 job, he's gonna literally turn him into one of the best teams in the country. I mean, what he's done at Jackson State, the quick turnover they had, the talent he's able to recruit, people want to go play for Coach Prime, man. I mean, the way that he's played his career, his attitude, just who he is as a person, that appeals to every young man in the country. Like, Dion's a winner. He wants to win. He wants the best for his players. Like, who doesn't want to go play for that, man? So wherever Dion goes, if he lands somewhere, it's gonna be definitely hellfire for whoever they have to play in conference. I mean, they could make the playoffs year one. But that's about all for college football at the time. Moving to a couple little NFL things here. A couple funny things. Lamar Jackson started clapping back at the haters. This is the tweet right here. When someone is asking for over $250 million guaranteed, like at Lamar Jackson, games like this should not come down to Justin Tucker. Let Lamar walk and spend the money on a well-rounded team, is what this tweet was. Lamar replies, "Boy, shut the fuck up. Y'all be capping too much on this app. Motherfucker never smelt a football field. Never did shit but eat dick." Hilarious. I personally, I love when athletes do this. But before I get into that, some ESPN writer hurried up, typed up a quick article about how he used an anti-gay slur and all this shit like that, and was bullying the guy, I think, too. But like, the anti-gay slur is like, no, he didn't. He told to eat a dick. It's not gay. It's just people say it to each other all the time. It's such a stupid thing, and just for clicks, that's like piece of shit move. Like, you really shouldn't be a journalist, in my opinion. But for what Lamar did, I think it's warranted. I feel like athletes are allowed to do that. Why shouldn't they be? I mean, you're gonna sit here and talk shit, but they're just supposed to sit there and just be minding my business. No, fuck that. You don't have to sit there and take anybody's shit, so they're gonna fucking clap back if they feel so inclined. And sometimes, yeah, it may come off wrong, and sometimes you're like fresh off the loss, but who the fuck cares? They're people too. That we should treat them as such. They should be allowed to voice how they feel and tell people to fuck off and eat a dick. It's natural human behavior. I'd say it to my friends all the time. Eat a dick. Fuck off. Whatever. It's not that big of a deal, and don't make it one. By far, one of the biggest deals of the weekend has to be the Washington Commanders, Washington franchise as a whole, the dumpster fire that they are, did it again, promised a statue of Sean Taylor, and instead gave the people a mannequin that had all sorts of different gear on it and stuff that Sean Taylor never played in. It's just kind of a sad move. I mean, Sean Taylor meant so much to so many people. You know, he was protecting his family from a home invader, and he had sadly lost his life, but he was one of the best football players of this generation. I mean, everyone talks about Sean Taylor, man. Sean Taylor, what a beast he could have been, and his life was taken too short, and they can't properly honor the man. I don't know. It just doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. It's kind of fucked up, really. So, but whatever, you know. Hopefully things get sorted out properly. I don't know. It's just a bad move on their part, in my opinion. You know, it's a really bad look. Like, once again, they're doing the bare minimum, hoping that it just can get by. So hopefully next year they get it figured out and they can actually honor Sean Taylor properly. But now for a little Hollywood. I don't know if this is Hollywood drama. This is just more world drama if you don't know about it. Balenciaga, clothing brand, I believe. I'm not really sure with it. I'm not too hip on that. Is in a lot of hot water for being complete psychos and disgusting human beings for running a campaign ad where little girls were holding teddy bears that had bondage and lingerie type clothing on. Basically, almost in a sense, you know, many people took it as disgusting and kind of playing into that child pedophilia and the sex trafficking. It was just a really gross look, which, you know, you can't be surprised at this shit. I mean, how many people have tried to come out and say, you know, this fucked up shit happens all throughout Hollywood, you know. And then I hear something about Kim Kardashian apparently had a little meeting with Balenciaga and didn't really know where she stood with the situation, which it's like everyone's like, it's confirming child sex trafficking happens in Hollywood. I don't know. Take a look into it. Go to Reddit. It's weird shit. It's a weird campaign ad. I don't fucking get it. It's disgusting. So I don't own any, but if I did, I'd throw it away probably or sell it because I'm a poor bastard. Let's get into my gambling, the cleavage report. You know, obviously Pray for Chaos parlay didn't hit. Something I was just trying out. Probably not gonna bring it back next year because it just does not seem to work. It's just long shot trying to get clicks, because if it worked, I'd be famous, you know. But cleavage report, I went 4-8 again this weekend with a push, you know. So 4-4-1, you can say. Obviously hit the TCU -9.5. They beat the dog shit out of Iowa State. Hit the game over Ohio State, Michigan, Auburn 22. That was the push, but nailed the Bengals pick, and also the Packers Eagles over. I just had a good feeling about that one. I did miss on that Washington State money line, Kansas +12, and Bears money line. But all in all, not a bad wrap up for just giving out my favorite picks. So. Actually, I went 4-3-1. I just had to say that because if I didn't tell you guys, I would be upset for myself at forgetting it. Okay, now for this week's top 5. This week is a projection, a kind of a prediction. It's my top 5 college football rivalries of the next 5 years. The ones that I think that over the next 5 years are just going to be absolute bloodbaths. One team's going to win this year, one team's going to win next year, vice versa, vice versa. They're just going to be a fun rivalry to watch because both teams are kind of trending in the right direction. Number 5 for me, Kansas State. And I know Kansas State blew the shit out of Kansas last weekend, but we all can agree Kansas saw a huge jump in their progression this year. Absolutely took a huge step forward in them becoming a very good Power 5 conference football team, contending, getting their name out there, getting into the top 20, getting the top 10, They're going in the right direction. They just signed Lance Leipold to a huge contract, extension through 2029, I believe. They're trending in the right direction. Then you look at Kansas State, Chris Kleiman doing the same thing. It's isn't as big as the Kansas leap that, the jump that they did, but what he's doing at Kansas State, he's put together quite a few good years now, and they played absolute dominant football this year. To have a chance to go win the Big 12 title next weekend, I really think that this rivalry game is trending in the right direction, and it's going to be a fun one to watch for the next 5 years at the minimum. Hopefully both coaches stay. Hopefully it can become a fun rivalry. I can see it. I can see it right before my eyes, a top 10 matchup, a playoff spot on the line or something in 5 years for Kansas State on a Saturday night on rivalry weekend. It would be fucking beautiful. Number 4, mostly for what happened this weekend, Clemson, South Carolina. Clemson, we've seen them as a top-tier program in college football for the past 8 years or whatever. And now it seems like it's all dwindling for them. They're not as good as they were 2-3 years ago. They haven't made the championship game in 3 years now. They made the playoffs with Trevor Lawrence out last year, and it didn't really seem to work out. They got blown out they didn't get blown. I don't remember. But, the past couple of years haven't looked too great for them. They kind of seem like they're taking a step down from that top tier to about top tier A, They're still a good program. They're still trending in the right direction. They're still going to be, having their name in the playoffs towards the end of the year. They're still going to be that type program. But South Carolina, they're obviously trending in the right direction too. Shane Beamer's done a hell of a job. 2 back-to-back top 10 wins. Awesome. It seems like he's building a pretty good program there at South Carolina. They have the resources. They're a huge SEC school. They've been good before. They can do it again. Beamer's seems like he's probably the guy to get it done. So that one, to me, I think it could be a real fucking bloodbath rivalry to watch for the next 5 years, especially once that 12-team playoff comes in and both teams are kind of sitting there on the outside looking in possibly, or one's in, the other needs to win, to get in really. So I think it can be a hell of a rivalry. Number 3, sticking just this one to the SEC East because it plays big, is Georgia, Tennessee, because it's going to play big for the next 5 years at a minimum. Kirby Smart's obviously put himself up there as a top 5, top 3 coach in college football, probably even top 2 if he goes and wins back-to-back. Georgia's Georgia. There's a chance that we're going to be looking at them as the next Alabama as Saban gets into his older years here. Kirby Smart is the guy for the job. He's building something special. How many SEC championships they've been to? How many 10-win, 9-win seasons has he already put together? How many playoff appearances? He's doing it all at Georgia. Tennessee had a really, really good year. Heupel's got the fucking Vols buzzing. Vol Nation loves it. 10-2, one of the best years they've ever had. They're trending in the right direction, and they're probably not going to stop. They have a huge line of, Joe Milton's probably going to start next year. They got Nicholas Imaleva coming in. That kid can fucking sling it, Tennessee's not going to get worse. They're just going to get better, and that game is probably always going to decide the SEC East in a bid for the SEC championship, a playoff spot, whatever. It's going to be such a meaningful game in the next 5 years. Number 2, I'm going to get a lot of hate for number 2 because it's at number 2. Michigan, Ohio State. Multitude of reasons. I mean, it's, Michigan's finally won back-to-back. They haven't done that in so long. Seem to be taking down Ohio State. We obviously saw that this weekend. They beat the shit out of them. Ohio State, they're still a top 10 program in the country, probably top 5. They still get the talent. They still get the players. Can the coaching staff figure it out and beat Michigan? I don't know. Ryan Day seems to be slipping. We'll see. It's only at 2 for me because I just don't know. I still don't believe in all this Michigan hype. I still don't believe in Jim Harbaugh necessarily. I think they're still going to get blown up in the playoff. Ohio State, I don't know what's with Ryan Day if he can't beat them. If Michigan wins the next 5 games and it's kind of all blowouts, it's not that fun. So my number one, going back to SEC, and I don't care if you're upset about it. SEC West matchup, Bama LSU. We obviously saw it this year. Brian Kelly got the job done. We beat Alabama in overtime. Done deal. Saban's probably going to come back and beat us next year at home in Tuscaloosa. Then you know what? We're going to come back the next year. Boom. We're going to beat them. Or Kelly wins next year. Saban wins too. It's just going to be a battle. I mean, we're seeing now with this new era in college football, Saban's taking a little bit of a dip. I mean, yes, they lost 2 games close, but they also could have lost 3 more games. Had 5 losses this year. It's been up and down for them. I mean, they've got lucky. They haven't got so lucky. But it's still Nick Saban. He's still going to put together a top-tier program. But if he is slipping, it's dangerous for him. It's dangerous for Alabama as a whole. LSU easily can take over the SEC West right now. We're in prime position. But still, it's Nick Saban. So I think, to me, that one's going to be one that's always going to be deciding a 1 or a 2 or a 3 spot, in the college football playoff. It's going to be a bloodbath year in and year out, especially in the SEC West. I could even say, I made that list before the Hugh Freeze signing. I could even put Bama and Auburn in there somewhere. Like, it's just, the SEC West is going to be a tough bloodbath battle, and I'm excited for it. But now moving on to my top takeaways from this weekend's games. There's a lot going on, a lot of crazy shit. Let's get into it. Why is TCU not a lock for the college football playoff? They have just as many wins as Georgia. They have just as many wins in Michigan as Michigan. They've played more ranked teams. They beat more ranked teams. I know they have. And to me, the Big 12 is probably top to bottom the best conference in college football this year. Power 5 level, it's the best of the best, I think, this year. SEC, close, but the Big 10, I think, in my opinion, has been down this year. It hasn't been a good year for them. Not a lot of tough teams, not a lot of top-tier teams. So I don't know. I don't get why TCU is not an automatic lock if they lose on Saturday. Well, what if Georgia loses to an LSU team that just got beat by Texas A&M? What if Michigan loses to Purdue? How are they not out? Those are bad losses, technically. I mean, Georgia's wouldn't be as bad, but for Michigan, that'd be a horrible look. So why if TCU loses to Kansas State, a team they already beat this year? How? And I mean, there's very slim odds that you can beat a team twice in a year. I mean, it's happened many times. Georgia, Alabama, LSU, Alabama. So why is TCU not a lock? I just don't get it. I mean, you look at the Big 12. They got 8 teams bowl eligible this year. 80% of their teams were 500 or better. The Big 10, that's only 64%. They only got 9 teams. Yeah, sure, it's more, but when you have a bigger conference, it's not more. 64% of your teams are bowl eligible. SEC is a little bit closer, 11 out of their 14, 78%. To me, looking at all the numbers, the Big 12 looks like the toughest conference there has been all year. So many teams have been ranked. So many teams have upset teams that were ranked. It's been so up and down and wishy-washy. There's a bunch of good teams there. So why, if TCU, even if they lose the Big 12 title game to a team they already beat, why should they be eliminated from the playoff for an Ohio State who got their dog shit beat out of them by Michigan, or Alabama who has 2 losses when TCU has 1? To me, it just makes more sense that right now it's Georgia, Michigan, TCU. That's how it is. USC loses, yeah, there's a lot of talk there. Ohio State probably slides in, or maybe Bama. But even if USC loses, the Pac-12 has been phenomenal this year as well. I mean, transitioning into the USC Notre Dame game, I mean, USC, they got the job done. Caleb Williams keeps on tearing it up. I mean, Notre Dame's a really good team that Ohio State struggled to beat, that Clemson lost to. These other top teams, I think, to me, we're looking at the 4 teams right now, honestly. I think it should just be Georgia, Michigan, TCU, USC. those four, I hope they all win this weekend. Well, I hope Georgia doesn't win, but I hope that they just win so it can just be that four, because I think that's the best four. To me, they've been the best four teams in the country, so why not, But going back to the USC game, there's a little bit of, it wasn't drama too much, but I saw some news writers or reporters or whatever were crying because Caleb Williams painted on his nails, "Fuck ND." Like, really? Bad look for the kids. Fuck the kids, man. Who cares? Fuck isn't a bad word. You should just say fuck all the time. It's not that big of a deal. And it adds to the spectacular, not the spectacular, the drama of the game, all those words that I can't get out of my mouth. It adds all that to the game because it's like actual a little bit of hatred, a little bit of like fuck you energy, to make it more exciting, to make it the fans more involved because they're upset that so and so said that about their team, or oh no, I support what he said. Like, it just makes it better. If you're crying about it, stop. It's not that big of a deal. It's cool. I think it's cool. But I'm also a 23-year-old male who likes to gamble and likes to say the word fuck. So I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. My LSU Tigers shit the bed all this weekend, and I said on Friday's show, I was nervous as fuck about it, and what happened? Went into College Station, and all of a sudden, Texas A&M came alive, and they beat us, and so that really hurt me. Like I said, I knew it was coming, and we'll just have to hope that we beat Georgia. That's all we can hope for. South Carolina, they did what I thought they would. Beat Clemson. I knew they'd get it out. That fumble, that was wild. I bet Will Shipley just is so upset at himself, but it happens. It's a wild way to end the game. But, you got to put a lot of blame on the quarterback in that game. 8 for 29 passing for 99 yards. Like, come on. That's a horrible stat line. You completed 8 passes. 8 passes. You threw the ball almost 30 times. Like, what, man? It's like embarrassing. That's under 33%. I should have wrote down its completion percentage, but like absolute garbage from one of the better teams in college football. It's supposed to be a 5-star quarterback. Sure doesn't fucking seem like it, buddy. Alabama, they blew out Auburn, Iron Bowl. It's still crazy that they still scored like 27 points though, or 25 or whatever. But Alabama easily won that one. They're still alive for the playoff spot possibly. Civil War, I knew Oregon State was going to win. I just had a good feeling about that. They got the job done. 21 points in the fourth quarter and come back. And, it's kind of a bad way for Oregon to finish their season. They lost out on the Pac-12 title game. So, sucks for them, but that's just how the dice rolls. Florida and Florida State may finally, be returning to a rivalry that's fun to watch. Mike Norvell, that was a good game Friday night. Florida State got the job done. We'll see. Florida, to me, I don't know. I could see them either going two directions, being pretty good next year, or they are really bad and Billy Napier ends up getting fired possibly. Could see that. We'll see, but that one should be fun moving forward. Drake May and the North Carolina Tar Heels came up short, man. It sucks. I've been rooting for Drake May all year. Then he lost his last 2 games of the season, but they still got a chance to go in the ACC championship, and I think they honestly could probably get it done. I think that they probably will. If you think about next year for these guys, if they can get the fucking defense figured out, man, to go with that offense, holy cow, dude. North Carolina will be a playoff team next year, easily. So hopefully they trend in the right direction. I had some money on that one. I was watching it, so it sucked, but I'll live, I guess. Tulane, we talked about them earlier. They got the job done. We're going on to the AAC title game, so hopefully they go out and get the W and get themselves into the Sugar Bowl or something like that. Mike Leach, Egg Bowl, was talking about it on Friday's show. I was watching it. Mike Leach finally got the job done, finally beat Lane Kiffin. That was a wild game there at the end. Ole Miss fans were throwing shit out on the field just like how Tennessee fans did it when Ole Miss was playing Tennessee when Lane Kiffin was there. So kind of a funny move, a little, oh yeah, we were giving you shit about that, and then we end up doing it. So that's the world of the SEC, man. There's a couple NFL thoughts, nothing too crazy before I get into just my thoughts. Bengals, they're trending up right now. They got the job done beating the Titans. They didn't have Jamar Chase or Joe Mixon, and T. Higgins was balling out, looking like one of the best wide receiver 2s in the NFL. That catch he had, the game-winning one, basically, that was fucking ridiculous, dude. I never realized how tall T. Higgins was either. Like, when he was playing at Clemson, I really didn't think he was, like, super tall. I thought he was pretty average height, but he's tall motherfucker. I think he's like 6'4", honestly. Man, I told you all about them points in that Packers-Eagles game, though. Just something deep down in my plums told me that there was going to be a lot of points scored in that one. Jordan Love had an absolute fucking bomb for a touchdown. Jalen Hurts just keeps amazing me. The one thing, though, that does worry me about the Eagles is they have a tendency to give up a lot of points, possibly. It's usually when their offense scores a lot. I mean, think about week one, they beat the Lions like 35-32 or something like that. So if the offense isn't cooking and the defense is kind of having a bad day, there might be a chance where the Eagles lose because the defense falls apart and the offense can't get going. So that's something to pay attention to when it comes to playoff time. Think about a high-powered offense that also has a good defense. It could either go either way. So I don't know. I'm sorry if you listened to me about my Bears pick. I had no idea Justin Fields wasn't going to be playing. I found that out after I recorded. So if you listen to me, you're kind of stupid anyways, but I appreciate it. But I didn't, but if you did lose me, you got the Browns pick, and I didn't even realize Deshaun Watson wasn't actually playing. I forgot that he actually was suspended for 11 games, not just 11 weeks. So, but Bucks got the job done, or Browns got the job done. Sorry, I was thinking about the Bucks because of Todd Bowles' comments after the game. Saying he was worried Tom Brady was going to throw an interception when Tom Brady, I don't think, has ever done that in the fourth quarter or overtime. I saw a stat by Warren Sharp. He just doesn't turn the ball over when it matters the most. So I don't know why he wouldn't just put the ball in his hands and let him take care of it. Makes too much sense, I guess. The Saints suck. I mean, Dennis Allen needs to get fired. He's done an absolute dumpster fire of a job this year for the Saints, and it's not really looking like it's probably going to get any better. I don't think he's a good head coach. I mean, he failed with the Raiders. I don't know why he's going to succeed with the Saints. Sticking with teams that suck, though, the Broncos just continue to be an absolute dumpster fire, dude. I don't know if Nathaniel Hackett's a bad coach or if it's just Russell Wilson sucks, but Russ is not the same Russ he used to be when he was in Seattle, man. And it is showing apparent. I mean, you got defensive linemen yelling at him for shit. He probably fucking was telling them, hurry up, get off the field, guys, come on. Some shit like that. Run past. He was like, okay. So this guy finally snapped and chewed his ass, but I think everyone's over his shit in Denver, and they pay him a lot of money, so they're kind of fucked for the next couple of years. So that's just my NFL thoughts. Let me take a drink of water here before I get my thoughts, because I might rant on this one for a minute. I might not. I don't know. We'll see. Okay. This is just my thoughts. Just my thoughts. With the Balenciaga news, the disgusting stuff that, they're possibly involved in. Human sex trafficking, child pornography, pedophilia, all that jazz. You see, when you go kind of dig into it, you see a lot of stuff of other brands they're big time attached to, their celebrities they're big time attached to. Like I said about Kim Kardashian's comments, whether she's with Balenciaga or not, which side is she picking, people are kind of coming at her like, so you're basically almost saying that this has been going on for a long time and that child sex trafficking and pedophilia has been going through Hollywood for years and years through these big businesses. We need to start looking into that stuff, man. I'm on the conspiracy side of the internet a lot of times, when it comes to the big stuff, especially once the Jeffrey Epstein stuff came out. I kind of got big into that. It was like right when TikTok first kind of was popping off in the U.S. I was on there and I was getting a lot of that stuff coming up and saw a lot of disgusting things about the people that were there. I watched the documentaries, all that stuff, and it just to me, there's no way that there's a lot of famous people that people love. There's a lot of politicians that are just scumbags, and you can just tell. But it all just gets thrown under the rug. I don't feel like we actually, as a country, take the child pedophilia, the child sex trafficking in general, all that serious. Because I feel like it's been under the nose of the entire world through Hollywood and big business and the government. I feel like it's always been there, and this is the age where we have the technology to find it out. And I personally feel like it's all a big conspiracy theory. The more you look into it, the more stuff that gets covered up. Like, how did we never hear about the people that were at Jeffrey Epstein's island? Why did Ghislaine Maxwell, not give out public names of people that were using these services? It's just, to me, it's always seemed fishy, and the Balenciaga stuff just makes it seem even more fishy, In all honesty, man, I think about this a lot. I wish I could train to be a Marine and just fucking recruit like a squad by myself and just fucking take out fucking child pedophilia people, just pedophiles in general, because it's disgusting. I know that it's going on through fucking big important people in this world, and I'll put this on YouTube, I'll put this on Spotify, and I'll probably get taken down. But it's just, I know that it's out there and it's so fucking disgusting to me. And the fact that it just gets swept under the rug, like, what can we do to fix it? It's a disgusting thing that's going on in this world, and we as people can't really do anything about it because it gets shut down. And that's what one thing I hope with Elon Musk is on Twitter is that we can he can change the platform and make it to where stuff like that can get talked about, and we can, fucking internet sleuths can find out the truth, and then we can do a police investigation. People got their whole lives and they don't do shit but do that. So, like, fucking set them loose, man. Set them fucking loose. But that's today's show. I hope you have a wonderful week. I'll see you back on Friday, hopefully. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe. Send this to anyone that helps want to change the world and stop child pedophilia. I don't know why I keep calling it child pedophilia. I keep saying child sex trafficking is what I'm thinking of. And pedophilia. It's disgusting. No place in this world for it. Hopefully we can all make it into it. But don't forget to like, share, subscribe. I love you. Your boy Titties is out.